you make. Ain't no lot to see. All those plans I made for myself, I got nobody else to lean on.
Welcome to everyone joining us to experience stories of resilience, hope, perseverance, and joy.
Move over to a sport chair, basketball wheelchair.
Category of Best Video are...
We love you guys.
You're watching America Trends. I'm Mary Burt-Godwin, and it is May, and it is Mental Health Awareness Month. And so we're trying to have some guests on the show who can speak to various aspects of this. And, teenagers seem to be one of the hardest hit groups, demographics for sadness, depression, anxiety. And we're at the highest level of sadness and anxiety and depression ever recorded right now with our youth. So we have a special guest on next. She is a personal growth strategist, a philanthropist, and author of Build Your Village, a guide to finding joy and community in every stage of life. Welcome to the show, Florence Ann Romano.
Hi, thank you for having me.
Hi, I'm so glad you are here. And, we are talking a lot on the show this month, particularly about mental health awareness. So I'm happy to have you here talking about specifically children. And I know you've done, I think I watched some videos that you are the Chicago nanny or Windy City nanny.
Windy City nanny.
Windy City nanny.
I 15 plus years as a nanny in childcare. So I definitely have seen a lot of different dynamics of families and children, parents, and all that good stuff.
Yeah, I bet. And have you, in your experience, noticed a big change from, 15 years ago to now with social media, the pandemic, all the different things that have happened to our society, the polarization of the sides, what are the things you're noticing?
Well, let me tell you, growing up, I think you lean on certain people in your life, and you look to certain people as role models, and then as you get older, you start to realize, what are the things that I admire about those people that I'm looking up to, and what are also the things that I'm seeing in my life that are challenging or are the ways I don't want to be, because we learn just as much from the things we see that we don't want to be like than the things that we do.
Right.
And one thing that I also think is very telling is, we grow up with content in a lot of different ways. And now content is very different in terms of social media. It's everywhere all the time. I grew up with a lot of kids with Sesame Street. And I actually now in my adulthood am on one of the boards at Sesame Street. And one thing that they're concentrating on this year that I think is very telling about what we're discussing is emotional well-being of children. And they consider it a crisis now about what's going on in our country. And they're rolling out content that has everything to do with the emotional well-being of children, because we're seeing just how important it is from a young age that we're concentrating on that.
That's pretty amazing. And, I was a product of Sesame Street days as well. And, it's still in my daughters watched it too. And I did see changes as they were developing back then too. And I've even seen snippets since in the last few years where they're bringing out more, getting in touch with your feelings. And are you feeling sad? And I feel like it's important for us to start helping kids find the words. And they are having words, anxiety, depression, but maybe not feeling the pressure to feel happy all the time. It's okay to be sad, right? And helping them through it.
And we find out in our world today through a lot of the content that we're digesting that what you're talking about, it's okay not to be okay. And it's okay to also find a place to discuss that. It's one thing to say that this is how I'm feeling, but how do you ask for help? How do you actually go out and try to change how you're feeling or express how you're feeling? And we always say that, all feelings are valid. It's never wrong to feel something. It's the behavior or the reaction to a feeling that can oftentimes be incorrect. And so that's what we're learning too. And for adults, I always say, they say Sesame Street's for kids. My gosh, adults learn so much from Sesame Street too. But just beyond that, this language that we need to adapt to or learn to talk about our emotions, that's not necessarily something that comes natural to everybody. So finding a place where that language exists and you feel like I can learn this is something I can wrap my arms around, that's important, because not everyone communicates the same way, and certainly not everybody feels the same way and communicates their feelings the same way.
Well, I love that. And I want to talk about your book and the concept of building a village. Build Your Village, a guide to finding joy and community in every stage of life. And I am fully on the village train. I mean, and I'm in a program of recovery. I have a village. I cultivate that village. I love this concept because I see it work in my life. I see it work in everyone's life around me. But I do know that it can be challenging for people that maybe aren't feeling great about themselves or whatever it is to actually go out and ask for the help. You touched on that. So do you have tips for people that are maybe feeling like, oh, I need a village, but I don't even know where to start? Besides read your book.
Yeah, well, there you go. But this book is really meant to be a workbook for your life. No matter if you're 15 or 80 years old, you should be able to come back to this book and say, okay, I can apply these lessons. Because we've all read those books, right? Those self-help books. They're like, you read it and you're like, I'm not going to do any of this. This is way too hard. No way. And you like throw it down. I want it to be something, again, you can wrap your arms around. You feel like I can accomplish this. It's doable. So when you're sitting there thinking, I don't know how to take this first step, I always go back to philanthropy. Philanthropy is a really great way that you can kind of two birds, one stone, something that makes your heart beat, that you're passionate about, you can get involved with, but also at the same time, you're going to meet people that are like-minded, have similar values, because you're part of this organization together. Clearly, you have something in common. And that starts to kind of open it up for you for conversations that are perhaps meaningful, or to meet people that are going to complement you in some way. We don't want to be friends with just people that are just like us. That's not the point. The point is, though, to put yourself in a position or in an environment where you feel like you're going to be able to be vulnerable. You're going to be honest. You're going to put yourself out there a bit, but in a way that also feels safe in doing it as well.
Yeah, I love that. Being of service is certainly a way to get out of yourself and out of the maybe pity party that we are feeling in a moment. And all of a sudden we're like, oh my God, I haven't thought about my problem in this much time, because I'm helping someone else. And so it could be joining a philanthropy, but it could just be calling a friend and saying, hey, how are you? Let's talk about your problems. Or how can I help you? Right?
As simple as that. I always tell people whenever I'm having those down days and I'm like so sick of myself, I go and pick up my phone and I look through, and I keep my text threads open most of the time. And I usually keep them open for people I talk to all the time, yes, but then also people maybe that I just talked to maybe more recently that it sounded like they were going through a tough time, or I knew something was going on in their life. And maybe you go back and you open that thread and you send them a text just saying, thinking of you. Is there anything I can do today? Or even if you're on your way out the door and you know a friend next door has sick kids in the house, you're like, I'm on my way to Walgreens. Any pharmacy runs you need or anything like that? That's a way, just again, to put someone else ahead of yourself, but not forgetting also too that the oxygen mask needs to go on us too.
I agree.
In order for us to take care of people, we need to take care of ourselves.
I love that. Thank you so much for joining us today. I've loved our conversation. I hope you'll come back again. Florence Ann Romano, FlorenceAnn.com, and at FlorenceAnn.Romano on Instagram. Thank you so much. The Windy City nanny at one point, and now she's a village and child care advocate. Love that. Thank you so much. And everyone at home, stick around for more America Trends right after this.